Hello, everyone, and welcome to Modernizing Old Hymns. There's a new Lutheran hymnal out called O Sing of Christ. What I'd like to do in today's lesson, especially, is look at some of the newer hymns that are in here. Now, they're really not new. Some of them have been in both the Lutheran Service Book for a while and the Worship Supplement 2000, but they're new to me. So what I'm hoping to do is give anyone out there who's like me a head start on some of these hymns so you can see what the melodies sound like. Down below in the description, as usual, there's a link to a place where you can download the sheet music if you'd like. The arrangement I've made of these hymns are very much like the ones I've done in previous lessons, very much like the ones I have in my book. Remember that I also make the arrangements of these hymns for auto harps. Auto harps need to change chords more often, and if you look at the sheet music, you can get by. If you're playing an instrument like this one or a guitar, you can get by with playing just a chord that is at the beginning of the measure, or try playing every other chord. You don't have to change chords quite so often, and you can simplify the arrangements for yourself. Remember too that seventh chords are optional. If you see a G seventh chord, you can just play a G chord. If you see a G suspended chord, you can just play a G chord. So first I'm going to play for you a song called, the name of the melody is Forest Green, that is. One thing the hymnals don't tell you is that you can also sing O Little Town of Bethlehem to this melody. The original O Little Town of Bethlehem, O Little Town of Bethlehem, was written in the United States of America. It doesn't seem so hard to us because we're used to it. But the truth of the matter is that hymn has a weird key change in it. So when it got to the British Isles, they were, no, we're not going to do that. So they set the words instead to a folk song they had that was called The Plowboy's Dream. Kind of a semi-religious song. It's about a plowboy who's beating his animals, and this angelic figure appears to him and says, "Don't do that." So the first melody I'll be playing for you on this instrument is Forest Green in the key of D. Then I'll play the same melody in the key of G on another instrument. The name of the melody of the next hymn I'm going to play for you, it's a Welsh one. It's called Ar Hyd y Nos, All Through the Night. It started out as a lullaby. I remember my mother singing it to me when I was just knee high to a grasshopper. This one is also a semi religious song. One of the lines goes, Guardian angels, God will send thee all through the night. Some people, when they hear a pretty melody, they think, oh, I gotta make a hymn out of this. Well, okay, it's a pretty melody, but it's a great lullaby too. I'm going to play this for you in two different keys here. The first time will be in the key of D. I'll just be using a two-finger pick on that one. And then the next time will be in the key of G with the three-finger pick. The next hymn I'm going to play for you is a melody named Beach Spring. This melody first showed up in print in a hymnal that was called The Sacred Harp. The Sacred Harp was very popular in the Appalachian Mountains. For one thing, it had a very easy way of teaching singing in harmony. It used what's called shape notes. Some notes are shaped like triangles, some notes are shaped like squares, etc. And you can look up shape note singing on YouTube here and hear some examples of that. Another reason I think the hymnal was so popular in the Appalachian Mountains was that many of the hymns were in Dorian mode. And the people in the Appalachian Mountains were mainly of Scotch and Irish descent. So they loved that hymnal. Oh, one of the things I like songs of this kind. They're kind of a special genre of music you find in the Appalachian Mountains and in the South. One of the reasons I want to play it on my banjo is because music like this is popular in the South, unique to the South. It has this feeling to it like you're just floating down a river. But once you start to play it, you find out it's not as easy as floating down the river. Some of the basic elements of blues are showing up in these kind of songs. Another popular song from about this time is Deep River, I'm going over Jordan, which no doubt inspired another song from a famous musical named Showboat. The name of that song was Old Man River, that old man river. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to sing along on this one. I'm just going to play two instrumentals here. Uh, Now, about the banjo, I get it. Some people don't like the sound of banjo music. Why? Well, supposing you were to make a guitar out of 2x4s, you wouldn't hear much of anything from it. 2x4s dull the vibration. They're so thick. So musical instruments generally have to be made out of very thin wood. Guitars, violins have very thin wood. The banjo, the surface of the banjo here is even thinner than wood. Okay, they started out as animal skins. Now they're made out of nylon. But the thinner surface produces even more vibrations, and some people are sensitive to that. Now, there's some things we can do to help those people out a little bit. Why not? This is what most banjo players do. I know some banjo players who play their banjos like this all the time. I've got some rag shoved back here. And that keeps the head from vibrating so much, dulls the vibrations. The best thing I think you can do is to loosen up these brackets. That keeps the head from being so tight so it can't vibrate so much. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play higher up here. Now, if I play down here, you can see I've still got my mutes in here. And then compare it up to playing here halfway between the nut and the bridge. Sounds quite a bit mellower, doesn't it? There's one other thing I'm doing too, is I lowered this string here. Usually that string sounds about here, or especially since I'm in the key of D, I would tune it up to here. But I tuned it down to here. Lower strings have fewer vibrations to them than higher strings. So hopefully this will all mellow it out. I'm going to play this in two keys here. The first one will be in the key of D. I'm going to play it very simply, mostly just the melody notes. And then I'll play it in the key of G using a 3-finger version. These songs contain some of the basic elements of what eventually turned into blues. And with that string tune there, it gives it a little bit of a jazzy sound, doesn't it? And that's just what I'm looking for in this song. Another thing too about these songs is they're just begging for seventh chords. The name of the next melody I'm going to play for you is Christe Sanctorum. Nobody seems to know exactly where this melody came from. It's got a Latin name. It seems to be pretty old. It's obvious that somewhere along the line, a classical composer worked on this. The chords in it are traditional. They're also very rich. What I'm going to do is play for you just mostly the melody notes, and I'll fill in with the chords on the empty spaces, if you will. And I think even then you'll see that the chords really stand out. The name of the melody of the next hymn I'll be playing for you is Kingsfold. Usually the words that accompany it have the title, No Tramp of Soldiers' Marching Feet. The melody, there's a big fight over where this melody came from. Some people say it comes from an old Irish song called Star of the County Down. Others say it started as a hymn in England many years ago. A very stirring melody at any rate. In spite of the name No Tramp of Soldiers' Marching Feet, I'm going to give this song a little bit of a march. Now I'm going to play the melody for you again on this instrument, a kalimba. Kalimbas only play in the key of C. So I'm playing this not in what we normally call a minor key. I'm playing it in Dorian. Now, there's one note that's different between this D Dorian scale and what we commonly call the D minor scale. And that's this note right here, the B. It would be a B flat in D minor. It's a B natural in D Dorian. And it's only one note, 1/8 note. So if I play a G here instead, chances are most people aren't going to notice the difference. I haven't had a whole lot of time for practicing here. I hope this gives you an idea of what this song should sound like. The name of the melody of the next hymn I'm going to play for you is Melita. This melody, used at the variant of the words found in the hymnal for "My hope is built on nothing less," the chorus starts, "On Christ the solid rock I stand." That is the official hymn of the United States Navy. What a great song for a sailor. Okay, I'm going to boom check this one. On the second last line, I'm going to throw in a little bit of a trick here. It starts with an E minor chord, and then depending on your instrument, use whichever one works best for you. You can use an E minor chord and slide that up, or an E major chord is close enough. Or an E seventh. I picked which one avoids using bar chords, and just play the strings that you happen to have your fingers on over here. That's the easiest way to do it. Slide up. The name of the melody of the next hymn I'm going to play for you is "Oh Wally Wally." This hymn actually started out as an English folk song. We just the top of my head, probably about the year 1760. It the original name of the song was "The Water Is Wide." It's a broken heart sort of love song, but somebody heard it. Oh, it's so pretty! I got to turn it into a hymn. If you'd like to hear what the original sounded like, watch Mutiny on the Bounty, the version with Mel Gibson in it. And close to the beginning of the movie, there is a man playing a fiddle and singing along, very much like you would have heard at that time. I'm going to use a 3-finger pick on this hymn. This is the hymnal I've been referring to, especially in this video. I mentioned that that last hymn was sung to the tune of an old broken heart love song. How do I feel about that? Like I've been saying throughout this course, the most important thing is not the music, it's the words. I can't say there's anything wrong with singing a hymn to this melody. It's not the first time it's been done. Okay, one of the most famous Lutheran hymns of all is "O Sacred Head Now Wounded." Started out as a broken heart love song in the year 1601. I know another one of the hymns in this hymnal was based on something written by a classical composer to describe the pagan god Jupiter. How do I feel about it? Well, they're not my favorite hymns. For anyone else, they just might be another hymn. One thing that helps me to get through this is the attitude of soldiers during the Civil War. There were good tunes produced on both sides of the battle line. And soldiers from one side might sing the songs of the enemy. And someone would come up to them and say, "What are you singing those songs for? You shouldn't be singing those." And they would reply back, "We captured that song from the enemy." Perhaps we have. Thank you for watching.